Hey, all of you out there in Eorzea, welcome to She Heals, I Tank, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Today is Friday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. And this is episode 205 of the Shit Podcast. I'm your host, Vegan Pete, and always by my side is the lacking of voice today.
Again. Hi, guys. It's Avi.
Hopefully you could hear her just then. Avi is here. Well, she's not here in spirit. She's here in the corporeal form. But she is just Sans voice.
Again.
Or Sans most of the voice. So she'll be chiming in when she can. But unfortunately for you guys, it's going to be mostly me on the mic tonight. Thumbs up for that?
I did the mute button that time.
Yeah, it's still pretty loud. I think they probably heard you on my mic.
I'm trying.
We're going to do our best to keep the coughing to a minimum.
Fuck you. I'm going to cough when I need to cough. I'm not going to try to keep the coughing to a minimum.
You can just say you're trying without doing it. They don't know.
That was so mean.
Didn't think that was me.
That was so mean. I'm trying to shut her up.
All right. Jesus. As you can tell, Avi's voice is like the Shadowbringer's deep dungeon. It's gone. And if you don't get that reference, we will be talking about that in a bit.
Well, you will.
So thank you to everyone, whether you're listening via the podcast or YouTube or here live at twitch.tv/SheHealsITank. Big opportunity for all you listening live right now to be a part of the show. With Avi's voice MIA, you have more of a chance to get on air and get your opinions heard about the patch 5.2 preliminary patch notes. Or if you've heard of a great Final Fantasy story that we haven't been covering, that we've been missing, you call up, you let us know. You call in via Discord, join the On Deck channel, and I'll bring you in live on air, and we'll see what you have to say.
Plus, I'm going to be way more expressive with my face. Because I can't say things loud enough.
Well, that'll be good for the people joining us live.
That's what
Don't know if that's going to come through on the podcast.
No, your comment was just about why it's great for people to be here live. So I was agreeing with you.
Maybe you should learn sign language.
Maybe you should shut up. Less clever now, guys. I'm
If
tired.
you like the show, we need to get you a soundboard. Please tell a friend. And if you are so inclined and want to go above and beyond, please consider subbing like these amazing people, which I think Twitch might be a little drunk on these numbers because for the first time ever, it says we have a sub at 0 months from Fenris Wolfbane. And I think that might have been because of a gift sub, but for some reason it doesn't tell me who gifted the sub, but it's never done that before.
Fenris has been around for a while, though.
Maybe they ripped away that sub. I don't know. And we also have Kadoma DK, Will Duran, and Wensings 627. Both are, triples. All three of you, first time subs.
Thank you for coming by.
Trunks RDM, 2 months. Not Papaya, 4 months. Wabberjacks, 5 months. Cater Pants, 6 months. Kaiser Crady, 6 months. Chance M5, 7 months. Edge is back with 7 months. Heavy Martillery, 8 months. Czechotopia, 11 months. Wando, 28 months. And the Real Hot Chili Pepper, 30 months. And I thought I had got chili before. And then last week he said, hey, you forgot my big old 30. So I do remember it now.
Cater read my facial expression. How dare you almost pronounce his name appropriately.
So thank you all so much for those subs. It really helps the show. And if you have Twitch Prime or if you have Amazon Prime, you can get a free sub every month. We'd be so honored if you use it on us, but just be sure to use it on some streamer and make sure you make their month by using it on them.
Oh, Rory says that it didn't show up.
Rory says I missed his 25 months. I apologize, Rory. Thank you for 25 months of subbing.
Streamlabs is a pain in the butt.
And we have everyone's favorite segment, Greenleaf Minute.
I can hum.
The Greenleaf Minute.
I hummed it.
Avi hummed it.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I think we should go over where stuff will be unlocked in patch 5.2. Because I always get a lot of questions about that. Where do I need to go? Who to talk to? Are there any prerequisites?
Like, you guys don't know. He was bitching at me about, like, he's like, oh, everybody keeps asking me all these questions. Now, like, I make this podcast.
And by
let me finish. I can't talk very loud. You can't interrupt me. Where I inform people with information about the game. But, oh, no. Nobody better ask me any questions.
I said some people are perpetual Greenleafs. I was talking about you.
I know.
You're the one who's always asking me. And I go, can't you just read the outline? I put it all in there.
No. Okay, Pete made a great podcast, but let me finish.
So, the first thing that you're going to be doing, most likely, is picking up the MSQ. And to do that, you're going to head on over to the Rising Stones and talk to our good old friend, Cryle. And the first quest is called Old Enemies, New Threats. Obviously, the prerequisite for this is going to have been completing all the previous MSQ. You gotta do that. Thankfully, now on your HUD, there's always like that main quest bar button that tells you what you are on. And currently, if you've done everything, it's red because you don't have anything more to do. That will turn gold when you log in on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And just click on that. It will tell you where to go.
So if you haven't finished all of that already, you should do it now.
Do it now. Wise words from the Undertaker. Maybe after the MSQ, you're going to take on the new Primal Ruby Weapon. You need to head on over to the locks and talk to the Resistance officer at the coordinates 36.4, 31.8. And I'm surprised. I thought this was going to be kind of where the burn was, in that Aura area, but it's actually in the locks. Mm-hmm. So I was wrong on that one.
Wait, what did you just say?
Moving on, maybe next you want to do the 8-man raid, which is the new Eden raid, and get a glimpse of Gaia. You need to head on over to Amarang and talk to Yalfort at 2616. You will need to have completed the last quest of the previous Eden quests, the next piece of the puzzle, and the first quest of the new MSQ, Old Enemies, New Threats.
So I think this is a good Greenleaf segment because sometimes you do these quests and you forget to finish them. So now's a really good time to go and look at your quest log and make sure that you've completed all of these, so that you don't just have them hanging out, and then when you go to start the new one, you have to go back and do the older stuff first. Yeah,
because I believe usually after you beat that 4th floor in a raid, there is a quest to finish after that. Mm-hmm. So if you just, beat the boss and then fucked off after that, you might have a quest that you need to keep on doing. Mm-hmm. Something that is kind of interesting in the patch notes is that the last quest in the Eden quest line will require you to have completed one of the new main scenario quests that just has question marks on it. So we don't know what it's called yet, which means it's beyond that first quest that they give us the name of, which is odd. I don't remember them doing that before, so you are going to have to do some sort of progress in the MSQ to be able to complete Eden. I personally would assume that that's going to be just like the last quest of the Eden after you've beaten all of the bosses. You're not going to have to do that to get to the bosses.
Something they've never done before.
But we will find that out on Tuesday. One of the surprises, at least for me, from the patch notes, is that we're actually getting a couple quests that are for Yorha Dark Apocalypse, which is, of course, the near automatic collaboration, the 24-man raid, but we're just getting story. We're not getting the new 24-man raid through this. This will just be adding to the story, and I think that's an amazing choice. Many thought the story we got so far was a bit lacking, and I think the time in between getting any new story is too long, so if they give us a little bit in between the last raid and the next one, I think it keeps the story a little bit fresher.
I like this too because I felt like sorry, chat just says Pete sure talks a lot. I like this because I did feel like they set this up with very minimal story, and so I feel like by they're doing content front heavy, and then they're kind of leading into more story, which I think if you're not a fan of the game is a better way to kind of grab you. And I think that's really cool.
I'm totally fine with that too, just because I think there's just way too much time in between getting the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you had to wait 3 months between episodes of TV, you'd forget everything that you watched in that last episode. Like, it's ridiculous. But you will be able to start up this quest line again by talking to the raid site chief at 3418 in Calusia. You must have completed all of the previous Yorha Dark Apocalypse quests. So that was a lot of battle content. If all of that seems a little bit overwhelming and you need to take a break, you can head on over for some ocean fishing, baby.
So are you going to go ocean fishing in real life to practice?
No.
But we live in San Diego. It's so close.
But I'm vegan. I don't fish.
You just don't eat it.
I don't want to just cause pain to the fish.
That's all I can laugh.
You're going to need to head on back to Fisherman's Bottom in Limsa Lominsa and talk to Filsno. That's how I'm going to say that name. Filsnoe. He's in the lower decks at X7Y14. You need to be at least level 1 and have done the quest, My First Fishing Rod.
I don't think I've done that. I think I only fishing I've done is Grand Company turn-ins. I've never even equipped a fishing rod.
Did you not have to do the first one to start leveling it?
I don't think so. I think you just had to unlock it.
But you probably had to unlock it by doing the first quest.
I don't think so.
I'd have to look, but I think you probably had to do that.
I don't think I've ever equipped a fishing rod.
You have to equip it to become the job.
Okay, then maybe that's it. And then you become the job. And why would you need to do a quest once you did the job?
Because who picks up the quest to become the job and then doesn't do it?
Me.
No, you did it. Don't you fucking lie to me. And if you're looking for some other non-battle content, we have the new Beast Tribe, which is going to be for your gatherers. The new Beast Tribe are the Qatari, and you can start doing their quest by heading on over to the Ratika Greatwood at 2127 and talk to the Concerned Mother. Their prerequisites for this are having done the quest Bearing With It, which is a level 75 main story quest, and the Ratika Greatwood side quest, Protectors of the Wood, and I would imagine many of you have done this already because it leads to the Great Serpent of Ranka minion. Yes. If you haven't done it though, you'll talk to Fina in the Ratika Greatwood at 3020.
It's amazing. You should do it. So good.
So that is how you unlock the main content of 5.2. Thank you so much, Sweezy, for that tier 3 sub for 7 months and says, Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you so much.
You too.
Happy Valentine's Day to you, Sweezy, and everyone out there. Now it's time for Avi's favorite segment. It's the tweet of the week. It is the tweet of the week, and this one comes from Edge Odinblast, who tweets, After 6 months, I return to Final Fantasy XIV and the fantastic community surrounding it. First thing that came to mind was the wonderful Avi Ale and Vegan Pete of She Heals I Tank. Been catching up with that podcast 10 episodes in a week.
Oh my God.
They burn through.
I'm so sorry.
Best way to catch up on news, tips, and banter. Missed you guys. We missed you too. Edge, thank you so much for coming back.
I think you heard more of Pete talking that week than I do in a month. That's like a lot of Pete talking right there.
Just a month? I think it's more like a year.
It's a lot.
Now it's time for news and notes from around the realm. The first thing we have up is the voting for Valentione's Day. Results are in. And while Chili and myself were a huge advocate for Vote for Bert, unfortunately, you people did not listen to us. Bert did not win. He did not make Eorzea great again. He didn't win on any single server because you all are voting for the front runner. You're supporting nepotism.
I disagree with all of that. I voted for Astrid because I was that girl power.
And what Avi wrote was a fierce clash between blue, red, and yellow.
Actually, that's what Square Enix wrote. That's what they were hoping for.
Astrid wiped the floor with them boys. And all the worlds are now red. Blood red, like Astrid.
Bitches stick together.
The murderer.
No, like, she's been training for this job for, like, a long time now. Plus, like, if they'd have made one of the other contenders a female character, in my opinion, it would have been more of like a, But I'm gonna stick with the ladies.
Okay, so we did have a caller join on deck after I went over that Greenleaf Minute. And that caller is Chili. Let's see if Chili has anything that he wanted to add from what I discussed in the Greenleaf Minute. Chili, are you there?
And Pete, the other callers for the next segment.
Can you hear me?
I'm here, yeah, hello.
Hello, Chili. You're sounding a little bit like Avi right now.
I'll be fine, hello.
Hey, Chili. What do you got for us?
I just finished streaming myself, so...
What?
You say you just finished cleaning yourself?
I heard squeezing.
Streaming myself.
Creaming yourself.
Streaming.
I don't know what you're doing to yourself, Chili, but it sounds dirty.
I said streaming.
Oh, just done streaming yourself.
I have to admit, Chili, I heard the same thing Pete did.
Well,
look, it's Valentine's Day.
We got Chili on the line. He's just creamed himself.
That's how excited I was to be on this show, okay?
Okay, Chili. What did you want to
sorry,
tell us?
Avi.
I can do a squeak right now.
You okay? Can Chili talk now?
I'm muted.
Yeah, I can talk.
All right, Chili. How's it going?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How about you?
We have to interrupt.
We are...
Chuckletopia said name of the episode is Chili Creams Himself.
Don't think you can name that.
All right, I have a feeling I know what you want to talk about, Chili.
Yeah, the raid.
Yeah. Not necessarily just the raid, but how you have to unlock the raid.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the MSQ tie-in. Especially if you have to be... It depends on how far in the MSQ you got to be. Some people are saying it's the first quest, but we don't know exactly.
Well, in the patch notes, it says what quest to start the raid.
I'm talking about... Because you need to finish it to unlock, right?
Yeah, so the last quest of Eden says you need to have completed main story quest, and then they just do 3 question marks because we don't know which one it is. But my theory is that's going to be like the last quest after you beat the 4th boss.
Now, normally normally unlock the Savage mode from beating the final boss and finishing all the quest line.
Oh,
hopefully
so it's the unlocking Savage part that you have an issue with, not unlocking not completing the whole normal quest.
Yeah.
Or I guess they're kind of one and the same.
Yeah, they're pretty much one and the same, but the fact that you might have to beat... You'll have to beat the raid, which is fair enough. That will take some time. But then you'll have to do the story to unlock the Savage, and if you're a day 1 Savage Raider, chances are you're not going to want to do all the MSQ in one day. You might not even have the time.
Yeah, I actually had not considered that part of it. I thought people were just concerned about getting to the 4 normal bosses. But that makes a lot of sense. You are correct. Anyone that is the world first team going for that prestigious title will have to complete all of the MSQ before they get started with their Savage rating. I had not considered that, Chili.
Yeah. That's if the last quest isn't part of, because normally, as I said, the last quest unlocks Savage. If they're being smart and maybe the last quest is like optional, kind of how...
I mean, they could have made it so you just have to beat that 4th boss and you finish off whatever quest started that, and then you can unlock Savage. That might be possible. We'll just have to wait and see what happened. But I agree, that is a bad move if you have to complete all of the MSQ or, a few quests into the MSQ. Could be a bad thing for those world first raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just people who want to raid on the first day with friends.
Or people who want to watch it. If you want to watch it, then you can't because it gets put off.
So that will be interesting to see. I'm sure we'll find out right away because people log in at 3 a.m. whenever the patch is going to be up.
I'll be up for when it. But then to be fair, it's like 11 a.m. for me. So
yeah.
Chuckletopia says it's sad because it incentivizes world first to skip cutscenes.
Yeah,
it's like you don't want to do that.
It does. All right, Chili. Anything you wanted to add on that topic?
I'm excited that we're gonna get Ramu and Ifrit first. I was wondering they were gonna be in a later fight.
Did they say that?
Yes. But whether they've shown Ramu and Ifrit has pretty much confirmed that Ramu and Ifrit are the first two. So.
Well, Ramu, and so it's going to be one of the first two because they're the same thing. They're merged.
One of the two are going to be the first two.
Okay.
And then it's going to be supposedly the seagull looking thing, the seagull raid.
Yeah, I thought the seagull was going to be number one. I just assumed, but I don't know.
Yeah. So we don't know what the fourth one is, but the fourth one in German translates to like static or light. So. People were suggesting Shiva, but I really don't think so. I think it's going to be more time related or something to do with Gaia. Remember, they had that scene in the trailer where Gaia complained about having too much light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hope it's not going to be another old Primal because that seems like a little bit much to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'd rather have another original boss, or even one from another Final Fantasy, but not another one from 14.
I'd love to see a lot of Gaia.
I'm expecting like. Some big named Fantasy 8 bosses near the end, to the next tier at least.
Mm.
And Gaia is basically amazing. You're right, Mark Moxie. I love them high heels.
Mm-hmm. She looks incredible.
All right, Chili. Well, thank you for calling in with that. If you have anything else to add as we get to more topics, feel free to jump back on that On Deck channel.
Thank you so much.
And if you type in chat before you do it, I'll actually notice it.
Feel better soon, Navi.
Thank you.
And clean your pants from that creaming.
That was so funny.
All right. So where did we leave off? Valentione's Day event. We finished that.
Mm-hmm.
All you people.
Wait. If you want to see it, where did they go?
You can head on over. There is a developer's blog that we will link to in the show notes. If you want to see what the world would look like if you did vote for either Bert or whoever the other asshole was. You should have voted for Bert. I did a call to action for y'all to vote for Bert. Those of you that did, thank you so much. Those of you that didn't, what are you doing with your life?
I'm one of those.
You're one of those, Avi. Yes, you are. Couldn't even support the show.
Nope, I couldn't. Did live on stream, I voted against you.
So, from that bad news of Astrid winning,
I'm my own person. I vote my own mind.
Move on to some big good news for those of you that have been wanting the Eternal Bonding gear free of a gender lock.
Mm-hmm.
With patch 5.2, women characters will now be able to wear the tux, and male characters will now be able to wear the dress. I know a lot of people wanted this. So I'm glad they finally got around to making this change. They have said they're working on gender unlocking gear in general. So it's good to see that they finally came out with some, and I think this was a good choice to start with.
I mean, we know who wears the pants in this relationship.
Are we in a relationship?
Because you don't wear any.
And don't wear pants when I can't. The first source I actually saw this posted was on Facebook. But with the unfortunate tagline, "Oh my God, ERPers are taking over," and I thought that was such a bad take.
That's disgusting.
On this, it's like this has absolutely nothing to do with ERP.
Yeah, nothing.
This is just like what a person wants their character to wear.
Yeah.
To their wedding, to their eternal bonding ceremony.
Yeah,
this isn't ERP.
People are stupid.
And that was just a really bad take, and I was like, really, dude?
You're dumb.
Moving on from
this is the most important piece of information that I discovered from the 5.2 site.
This is what Avi was super excited about.
Because Pete was like, but is it going to be this? Is it going to be this?
Do you want to try to announce this? With
No,
your big girl voice?
I don't think it'll be exciting enough.
Avi's super excited that the umbrellas can be dyed.
They never announced it, guys, but you can tell.
You can tell we do have a picture of these umbrellas.
You can tell by the picture.
You can see one is all black and one is blue and white. So you will be able to dye these umbrellas. The images of a Mikote female holding, as seen is in the live letter, blue and white. Next to her is a Rothgar holding the same umbrella, all in black.
Miko's saying that the Yoshipi did say that in the live letter. We didn't see that in any
it
of
wasn't in the translation that we saw.
Yeah, we
anyway.
didn't see it in any notes.
Oh, well.
Chocotopia does not look like you can dye them separately. Like most items that are two-toned, when you dye them, it dyes it all one color, where the other one is maybe a lighter version of that color, but it's all one color.
So maybe you already knew that, if you had a better translation than us. But if you didn't,
I saw this picture.
I'm sure you're super excited, and you're probably like chili creaming yourself right now.
I saw his picture today at work, and it was probably the highlight of my work day. I was like, oh, well, because Pete kept making comments about it, and then I thought he'd be like at least somewhat piqued, but he was just like,
I think you've confused some of my umbrella hype as legitimate instead of facetious.
No, but I get that it's facetious, but it's also like, I don't know, usually when I joke about something, I do kind of like, oh, cool, at least they considered that. You're just all salt.
I will be very surprised
Pete has salt dripping out of his
if
beard.
I ever get an umbrella.
We have to have an umbrella so we can stream with the umbrellas.
Okay, maybe I'll get an umbrella just to stream with it,
Told you.
but I would never be running around with an umbrella. Unless I can dance like Gene Kelly, I ain't getting no umbrella.
But what if you could dance like Gene Kelly in game, but not in real life, because it's not happening in real life?
Yeah, are they going to give it to me in game?
You can use your imagination.
You know I'm not a role player. I don't have that good of imagination. So yeah, that's the big hard-hitting umbrella news. Some more unfortunate news though, Avi. In a recent article from Dengeki, Yoshida has confirmed that there will be no Deep Dungeon this expansion, saying they are working on different types of content and they didn't have the resources to devote to that. And there will be no Ultimate Fight in patch 5.3. It won't come out until later in the patch cycle. Most people right now are thinking that it will be a bridge to the next expansion, so it'll probably come out around like 5.5, and that's what like 10,000 of the people that play will do, waiting for the new expansion.
What?
10,000 people.
Well, what?
Do the ultimate raid.
Oh.
So I don't. If that's their reasoning, I think it's pretty poor.
Yeah.
Because not that many people do ultimate raids. So to delay it just because you think more people are going to stick around in that in-between area, I don't know if it has that big of an impact. Also from that article, Yoshida said there will be a cliffhanger in patch 5.2 and that there will be some more focus on Heidelin when previously a lot of the focus was on Zodiark. And it's also going to go more in-depth into Gaius, which we kind of already gathered from the live letter.
I think it's good because I feel like there was a lot of focus on Zodiark being bad, and we learned that Heidelin is kind of similar in a sense, you know, and to like just ignore Heidelin has been poor storytelling. I think we need to equally explore both of what is good and what is bad about both of them.
Yeah, I really feel like we haven't got that much of Heidelin since it was she whatever it was getting weaker.
Oh my God. Well, no, it's just the fact that, you know, she is the same as
Yeah, but I'm
Zodiark.
saying we haven't got anything since like what was that? Anti-Tower seems like.
Well, yeah, and I've just been questioning since with the whole Shadowbringers, like, are we a pawn? Is Heidelin actually good, or is, you know, she just another side of the coin? I would really like to learn more about her and our role and understand why she's the right side of the coin, essentially.
I feel like no matter what happens, we are definitely a pawn.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the fucking Scions use us, Heidelin uses us. We're definitely being used.
If anything, we're a knight. I think we're a little stronger than a pawn.
Once again, I think news and discussion was kind of one of the same thing this week, but we kind of just broke it up.
Wait, you're skipping.
Because we need a break in that section to get to... That is the Teaching Pete lore. And since Avi does not have the voice to ask me a question today, we have friend of the show, moderator extraordinaire, one of my raid team members. We have the great KK McLeod. How are you doing tonight, McLeod?
Hello. I'm doing pretty good. Had a little bedtime quick. Had to jump up there and give out kisses, but I was able to get back down here in time.
All right. What's his name?
Amelia.
Also, thank you so much. I wasn't sure what kind of voice I was gonna have.
So you're
not a
pinch
problem.
hitting for Avi to ask me a question that I'm sure I'll know.
You should. I picked something right from sort of your court there. It's some monk quest stuff.
Oh shit. Job quests are not the questions to ask me.
What questions
too
are the
bad.
questions to ask you?
So here we are. The monk quest line deals with two sides of the order. The first is led by your teacher, Widargelt or Widargelt,
Mhm.
and the second is led by whom? A. Gidela Thildone, B. Eric, C. Theodoric Manfred, or D. Prahatia.
Oh, I think I know that one.
I think I know it too.
Oh,
I didn't
we got
level
two.
very much monk, so if I know it, you don't. That's bad.
I think it's fucking Eric.
Hmm?
I think
What
I
is it? What
remember
does Avi
making
think?
fun of his name.
Oh, Bert. Oh, yes, there's the secret Bert.
Bert.
Let me go with Eric.
Well, let's throw with Avi if she got a chance at it too.
Well,
I'm
no,
just
I've only
curious.
leveled monk to like 12.
Oh, well, that wasn't really a monk quite yet.
No, so if I haven't seen it,
I
then.
know it's not Grahatia.
All right.
Did you want to take a guess, Avi?
No, my monk is like 12.
I'm gonna go with Eric. For some reason, I remember making fun of his name. I'm like, this fucker's name is Eric.
He is in the quest line, but that is not the guy. That
Damn
is
it.
the guy who helps your teacher, Widargelt, and calls you an idiot all the time. The
Of course
correct
Pete
answer
remembers
Sounds like
him.
fucking Eric to me.
is D. Prahatia.
Oh, I think it's a
It is
Graha.
I know, I was a little trick. I really was very specific on my pronunciation of
That's who I thought it
Prahatia.
was.
And that is the evil Mikote of the Shadow Monks.
I feel like that was a very tricky one.
I don't
Yes,
think
it was.
I don't think I've actually done that part of the quest, but I think I was like, that name felt right.
Yeah, I saw the name in the book. I'm like, oh, okay, so we have this guy named Hrahatia, and everyone's going to immediately think I said Grahatia.
That is exactly what I thought. I'm like, nope, that one's not the answer.
See, this is why
That's a
ladi-
very tricky one.
this is why, ladies and
I
gentlemen,
think
you need
that-
to be a husband to actually listen.
Fake news. That was
And you'll get your
an
lore questions
unfair
right.
question. Still undefeated, as Chuckletopia says, nobody can stump Pete.
KK, can you DM me that question so I can add it to our list? Because
Yes, we can.
I do keep track of these.
Will do.
One of these days, we're gonna do an episode that's all lore questions.
Oh, jeez.
Just ask
that'd be
Pete questions the whole time.
It'd be the worst
he
episode
dreams.
ever.
Takes a shot every time he gets one wrong.
Well, McLeod, thank you so much for that question that I get credit for by default because it was a trick question. Did you have anything to add to anything we've talked about so far?
Not so much. I'm looking forward to the same things I was from last time. The only thing I want to add, because I did make a little comment as a meme or whatever, was I was ridiculously surprised that they said, let's take away reuse and ingenuity from the crafters, especially
Yeah.
reuse. I was just liking that skill.
Yeah, I don't even think I wrote up the crafting section on this one because I don't like to talk about the new abilities before I get a chance to play around with them.
Well, that's probably good because I think this episode's a really long outline, but it's a lot for Pete to talk about on his own, so we probably won't go through all of
Because I'm
it.
a big old dum-dum.
No, you get everything right, Bubba. Everything right.
Undefeated.
Undefeated.
Undefeated I agree. Good job, guys. You guys are so smart. Well, thank you, KK. And if you do have a comment on anything else we discuss, hop back in that On Deck channel.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Feel better, Avi.
Thank you.
All right. That was the Teaching Pete lore section. If you have a lore question, you can go ahead and tweet that to @AviAiel, AviAiel. That's right. I can spell.
He almost didn't know how to spell my
Or
name.
you can email
That's been my name for like 5 years now. You almost didn't know how to spell it.
Or you can email that to shehealsitank@gmail.com. Just put in the subject Teaching Pete lore and I won't open it. And I am a trustworthy motherfucker.
I don't know that I trust
As
you.
Avi can attest to, I've never lied in my life.
I don't know that it's that he's trustworthy. It's that I'm obsessive with not having unread messages in an inbox. So as soon as I see a notification, it'll be gone.
She will definitely get to it before I do.
It's a thing. It's a thing for me.
So let's move on to the discussion part of our episode. I think it was pretty late in our episode last week when we finally got around to talking about what the last live letter actually led with. So we talked about it last, but they got to it first, which was Yoshida talking about mods and third-party tools. And I think Avi was kind of fading at the end there last week.
That was a long
She
episode.
she wasn't feeling good last week either. She's kind of been battling it since like Christmas.
It seems like it.
She's been battling some sort of issue.
Wait a second. Fuck you.
I mean, am I wrong?
Well, like, that issue is my back and my hip. This is
Yeah.
not like illness. This is separate.
It's kind of been sapping your energy.
That was so mean.
I'm just trying to tell the people what's going on.
That was so mean. My God. Everybody's been telling me to throw stuff at you, by the way.
What?
Yeah. That's why I got...
I don't think anything I've said has been mean. Everything I've said has just been accurate. Stop throwing magnets at me. Magnets hurt.
That's all I have.
For anyone listening on the podcast, she's throwing like those big, heavy magnets at me that are like D-cell batteries.
What magnet is that heavy?
Mm-hmm.
But sorry to change subjects, guys. But because you have heard so much about my health issues, I am going to an orthopedic consult on the 25th of this month to find out if I'm going to need surgery on my hip. So we will keep you updated when we learn more.
It's like you're 80, might need a hip replacement.
I need more magnets. Guys, give me more magnets, or I'm going to start throwing heavy things.
I wish you'd throw a drink at me. I just catch it with my mouth.
I got a beanbag thing.
Back on to our actual discussion. We've now gotten the official live letter digest, which is an official translation of the live letter. Yoshida's done a really good job at keeping things vague.
Stay tuned or look forward to it.
Not saying yes or no if they are allowed, but saying it's prohibited by the terms of service.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they aren't going to commit to anything in stone. They're not going to say you can use this or you can't use that. So they have the leeway to do whatever they want.
That's smart.
I think the bigger of the two issues is actually the mods that are changing the graphics in-game. By the way he's talking, I think you would be more likely to receive a ban for posting a modded racy screenshot than you would if you posted a screenshot with a parser in it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless that screenshot's purpose of the parser was to shame someone's DPS, and then I'd say if Square Enix saw it, you'd probably get a punishment.
I think that they take it very personally when you mod them in the characters in a lewd way. This is their passion project. This is something they've put so much energy and effort into, and it's like you're taking their daughter and putting nudie pictures of her on the internet. And
I don't know if I ever thought about it that way.
That's how I would feel about it. If it was something that I put this much energy and this much time in, and then people are taking this thing that I care so much about and making it into nude images, it would be like they took my baby, my child, and they made it a nudie model, and I would be very upset by that.
Yeah, I can definitely see how you'd be upset by that. The way I kind of thought about it was, it's not cool to change someone's artwork. Like if someone drew a picture,
It's the same thing.
I don't think it's cool.
It's yours.
I know. That's how I always thought about it.
You're cheapening it. You're taking away what it is you loved about it and exploiting it for sexual means, and it's just it's very selfish.
And like I know that they don't like the sexy ones because that can be, against the law in some countries, and they don't want to have to explain themselves. But even at the very base level, you're stealing someone's art and then changing it.
Well, but changing it's one thing. That's like, because you can take a picture and draw a curly Q mustache on it and make it look like a devil, or whatever. And you're like, okay, haha, you wanted it to look like that. I don't agree. But when you're taking it and you're making it a lewd and going so far as to exploit it, I understand being upset by that. I like giving it a hairstyle that the game doesn't offer that you wish it had, or eye makeup that the game doesn't offer that you wish it had, or an outfit, like that's one thing. That's like you're dressing up your character in a way that you wish Square Enix offered. But when you're exploiting it, making it overly sexualized, that's taking it to a different world. That's taking it to a different realm. And I know that if it was something that I created, I wouldn't like that.
I think we're talking about the same thing, and we largely agree. And I think I'm just going a little bit, I don't know if it's further or not as far, by saying I think it's just as wrong to put a different hairstyle on someone else's art. That's not what they wanted.
I do think that the mods inspired Square Enix to do things like put hats on the minions. I think Gaia's character design, like, yes, she was made after the art that was done for her, that was drawn for her, but I think that the elements of her eye shape and her lip shape and stuff is directly influenced by some of the things the mods have done to the characters.
And he actually did touch on that. I've only taken some quotes from the whole translation. He says, in some communities there are mods, and the devs have said, this is fine. We're totally fine with this. They're not saying that though. They're saying our official stance is it's prohibited by the terms of service.
It's too gray of an area, because if you accept some, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, and that's kind of what they said. There's like going to be so many different instances. If they say, yes, you can use this, and then someone finds a new use for that mod to do something that they don't like, then you go, oh, I shouldn't have been banned for that. So they're doing what any good corporation does. They leave the doorway open for them to have the leeway to do whatever they want.
To protect their own assets.
And I can't say I blame them.
No.
So largely, even though people made a big old hubbub about this, I would say pretty much everything is same as it always was. Especially regarding the parser, they say, please don't use third-party tools. But it's kind of with like a wink and a nod, being like, as long as you don't abuse them, you'll be okay. Abuse would either be harassing people over their DPS or adding things to the game that shouldn't be there. Like what we talked about before, where there were untelegraphed AoEs that were showing up with the ACT plugin. They do address these plugins, saying, finally, we'd like to explain our policy on plugins, such as those for ACT. In the category of plugins, there are some malicious ones that negatively disrupt the game balance or fraudulently manipulate memory. Some examples include the plugin that automatically placed away marks that was widely talked about in the community, and the plugin that placed self-made graphics on invisible AoEs to make them appear to be visible. Keep in mind that these have an extremely high risk of resulting in penalty. The development and operations teams have been working on the system side to prevent these type of malicious plugins.
That was the funniest burp ever. You guys
tried to time it as best I could.
You timed that really well. I'm like impressed with that.
And on deck we have Mieko, and I think this is a first-time caller from Mieko. Did you have something to add to what we're talking about right now with the mods or the third-party tools, Mieko?
Yeah, so I was actually listening to the entire live letter, and I feel like the digest was actually not doing Yoshi P a lot of justice.
Okay.
He actually went really deep into detail, like what he actually thought about those things. So he's kind of like, yeah, basically what he's saying is, as long as you don't go like publicize these things, he's fine with them, but he's only against them based on like company policy, and intellectual property stuff like that. And the thing about the like ACT and those type of stuff, as long as you're not disrupting the game in any way or like creating stuff that's on top of the game, he's not really against that much. But as long as you again you don't publicize those, he's fine with it.
Yeah, he's definitely okay with like just reading output from the game, like your damage log that is coming from the game. He's fine with, but like adding the untelegraphed AOE markers, he's definitely against that.
I also have to say that like with my comments about like the lewds and the nudes in your privacy in your own home are one thing. Lewds and nudes that you're posting all over social media and that you're sharing online are a completely different thing, just in general. So if you're doing that to your game character or you're doing that personally, once you share it, it becomes something different.
He's like really against that. Like it's been like his policy since like beginning of FF14. I think he doesn't want that type of thing to be on there. And also like he's basically saying that these type of external tools and mods are basically on your computer. They're not going to go into your computer, and they don't have the rights to it. But once it's connected to the game, and if it's showing up on the game data or if it's on like online somewhere, then they'll have to look into it. So basically, as long as you don't relate it to the game, they couldn't really care too much about it.
As long as you keep it separate, then they're like, what's basically kind of like if you're making these Photoshop adjustments outside of the game and stuff. I get that.
Yeah, from the translation, they do say the developers also do not have the right to confirm what kinds of applications are installed on your computer or smartphones, and do not have the right to ask you to refrain from using certain applications. So I think that's what you were referring to during that part.
Yeah, and I think the final part, I think he put like a really good example was that he took like, I think Minecraft was his example, where there were like player made custom maps that they made in the game, and the developers really liked it and the community loved it as well. So what the developers would do would be they make an exception and incorporate that into like the official game as official content. So he's basically saying that if anyone makes one like that, gets really popular for the community and it's really positive for the gameplay, they wouldn't hesitate to make an exception and add it to the game. So I think one of the thing that they did was, I think, the team crafting. They added that into the game. I just think they didn't really give it too much credit, but
I think it's a hard argument, at that point, because their focus was stop doing the bad ones. And I think once the bad ones necessarily aren't as prevalent, then they can focus on, hey, let's do some more of the good ones. And then we can try to give attention to the good ones. It's hard to give equal weight to both arguments at the same time.
Yeah.
And that, I know you're talking about that craft tree right now. That still isn't even as good as Teamcraft or Garland tools, in my opinion.
No, but it gets a step.
Well, the new 5.2 patch, they actually showed the new thing. They added more stuff to it.
Yeah, my whole thing is I want to be able to select like five items and know all the materials for them all. And as far as I know, you can still only do one item at a time with that.
Why do you need to select 5 items?
Because if I want to gather material for 5 items.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious. I just know that because I play, the other game I play a lot of is Elder Scrolls Online, and that's WoW, where it's a very add-on heavy game, and it's encouraged. So it's just kind of interesting to see the different approaches to it. But I do know also you don't see add-ons for ESO of make all the characters run around naked. That's not something it probably exists, but it's not something I've heard of. And so I think that's kind of what they're trying to get the add-on of the mod community to get away from, is just that side of things, and make them beneficial for the players as a whole and the game as a whole.
Yeah, I think Miyako's definitely right. If you guys do come up with a tool that's, not giving a world first team an advantage over something, they're more likely to add that to a game. If it's just quality of life adjustment type stuff. Did you have anything to add to that, Miyako?
No, that was it.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And just out of curiosity, do you know Japanese? Were you able to catch that on your own, or did you have a different translation?
That's like based on like my several years of anime watching.
Okay.
I'm Chinese, so Japanese learning was kind of like easy after a few years listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll DM you in the future to see if I can get a little information for you from you.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you, Mieko. All right. Ooh, didn't get him out. All right. I think you dragged him in, Avi. You might have to drag him out.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we went over their official, unofficial. I guess it's the official stance is wink, wink, nod, nod. Don't be a dick about anything, and don't post your nudie mods on Twitter for everyone to see. Because if Square Enix sees it, you might get a ban. The other thing he talked about was parsing. And I think they've always sort of said they were on the fence about adding a personal parser. And whenever we get to a topic like this, that's what everyone asks for. Is they would love to have a personal parser in the game, even if they only get to see their number. They don't get to see anyone else's in the group's number.
Right.
And I don't see any benefit of that. Because if you're only getting output a number to you, your number, for whatever type of content you're doing, you have no context for that number.
Can I respond to this?
Yeah.
So ESO has a parser add-on that you use in game, and it shows only your number, but it also shows what your percentage of the DPS contributed is. So you don't see what everybody else is, but you can assume, generally these are groups of 4. So if I'm a DPS and I'm doing over 50% of the damage of a group of 4, that's not good. So you're
doing over 50%?
It's not good for the other DPS and the people in the party.
But that's what I'm saying. That gives you leeway to say, other DPS, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. But I'm just saying, like, it's a way of showing that and offering that without, like, saying, here's everyone's DPS.
I know, but it still leads to a way where you can harass someone.
Well, so in that, we had, you can do that with other people in a group no matter what. You can always kind of figure that out, because if
you can harass someone just because you're an asshole, but you don't have any like proof to say.
But if there's no percentage and you're just seeing yours, I think people are smart enough with the numbers that they would know.
How would you know? Do you know what the top 10% of Sastasha is?
If there wasn't a parser that displayed it the way that it does, I think people who cared would.
Okay. And that's what I'm kind of getting at, is there's no incentive for Square Enix to add this on their own. Because people who actually care about this will download ACT and do it on their own that way. Mm-hmm. That way, Square Enix doesn't have to spend time adding this to the game. And personally, if they were to add a personal parser to the game, you have to give some sort of context to that number. Either by what you just described in ESO, where you say this is the percentage of damage you're doing for the party, which, doesn't really tell you how good you're doing. Because what if both DPS suck and the tank and the healer are doing more DPS and like you're all doing 25% damage?
But that's when it comes into like examining people and looking at what they're doing. And so
but that's what they're trying to avoid. They don't want you to do that.
Well, no, but you would do that anyways. If a group is sucking, you're going to examine them and see. Your first thing you're going to do is, let me see what kind of gear this person has on. Was their eye level decent? Okay, everyone's eye level is decent. Okay,
but
you evaluate
this would be in the game from like level 1, your first dungeon, and you have no context for that number. And you're not examining people. Are you eye level 15?
Well, you don't know to yet. I'm just saying, like, I wasn't treating this as a concept from a level 15 player.
Okay, so that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. There's no real good way to implement this without having some problem that Square Enix is trying to avoid. Whether you give a percentage, whether you just said you're doing, like, another way would be if they just like read everyone's damage and come up with like percentiles, and you're doing above average, below average, or you're right average, and they tell you what that is. It's not in comparison to anyone else in the group currently.
It's for your level.
That would be for everyone that's done the content. They just have a log of it, and
Well,
they came up with these averages
for your level, perhaps. Or,
your level, perhaps. But at the same time, if you're gonna put something in the game that tells me I'm doing below average DPS, I'm going to expect you to also have something in the game to help me get my DPS up, and not have me have to go outside of the game to raise it.
I disagree.
So I'd want you to have what they've talked about before, the Hall of the Intermediate.
I don't think the Hall of the Intermediate is a bad idea, but I also don't think the game needs to teach you to be better. I don't think any game has ever done that. I think games...
But if you're going to add the parser, that's like the point, right?
No.
The point's to tell you how you're doing,
so you
to let you know if you need to get better. And I think if you're going to do that, I don't think it's unacceptable for the person to expect you to give me some help.
I think that's a spoon-fed, tell me what to do mentality.
That's what a in-game parser would be.
I disagree.
When there's a perfectly good third-party parser that they're fine with as long as you're not harassing.
I don't understand why the in-game parser is so different from the third-party parser, I guess, in your mind.
Because it's something supported by the game company.
So because the game supports it, you feel the game also needs to then teach you how to play the game?
Well, if the game put it in like ACT is now, where it showed you everyone's DPS and gave you context to the number that it's spitting out, I think, actually, yeah, I would still expect them to give me a way to get better.
I don't have a voice to argue with you on this. I really can't go.
We can revisit it at another time.
I think it's ridiculous to. There's no game I've ever played. I mean, the gauge on a game generally you play it is you can go easy, normal, or hard mode or whatever. They get harder and harder. Like this is just a single player game. If you can beat the game on easy, to challenge yourself, you beat it on medium or hard. And if you can't beat it on those levels, you try and try and try until you can beat it on those levels. There's no tutorial. There's no instruction. You either figure it out or you don't, or you cheat and look online. Like that's how games work.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like, you don't need a parser for that either. Like you don't need that at all. If you're not beating the content, you got to get better.
This is a different kind of content than what I was just talking about, because that's more of like single player mindset. When it's a multiplayer mindset and you believe you're doing everything you can possibly do to beat this content at that level, you have no way to gauge that because you're dependent upon other people. And the parser alone lets you know, A, you're doing enough on your part to beat that, and B, who isn't. Okay. I don't think I don't think the person should be penalized or talked shit to. I know that's human nature and that's what's going to happen, but I don't think any of that is the game developer's responsibility.
Okay, and I think we're kind of approaching this at different angles, because yes, I agree that a in-game personal parser could be beneficial to people. I'm not arguing that doesn't help. Vaguely, because that on its own doesn't help. You still have to go to outside sources after you know your number to figure out if you need to get better or not. But I think the main issue I have against Square Enix doing this is, what do they have to gain by it?
What does Square Enix have to gain? Or, if Square Enix truly wants people to stop using third-party apps.
But I don't think they do.
But that's the difference. If they do, they make their own. If they don't care, then they don't.
Yeah, I think they don't care. I think they're perfectly fine with people using the third-party programs as long as they're not manipulating.
Right, so the whole argument is moot, because it literally is only if they don't want people to use these third-party apps, then they make their own versions that supersede them, and that's what they do.
And that is why they've left it open. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Don't harass people and you'll be fine.
Yeah, they don't need to.
Because if they were to say, no, we're going to ban you.
I missed the mute button that time.
We're going to ban you if you're using this, then they would have to offer some sort of in-game solution. But since they aren't doing that, I don't think they will. I think Yoshida's fine with not adding that. And I think it's the right choice, personally.
I do want to say, love you, Beba, and I know we have a lot of outline left, but I am crashing hard, and Buscemi's trying to eat my Valentine's Day flowers. Sit down.
All right. So to cut off the parsing point of it, for those of you who do care about your DPS and are trying to improve it, you can use ACT. Silently compare your DPS to people you're running content with, or discuss it with others that are cool with it. Follow the golden rule of don't be a dick and you will be just fine and won't have to worry about getting any punishment. They're not scanning your computer to see what you have installed on there. You're going to be just fine. Personally, I won't even put my parser on screen.
I agree.
I know you can blur names and stuff like that, but I'm still not going to do that. And I think that's just the safe way. I don't know if like you get more views if you do have your parser on screen. I have no idea. Personally, I'm not going to do it. Because I am a little bit scared because they have left it open where they can change their mind at any time. Moving on from that riveting discussion. The new quest series for upgradable equipment is named Save the Queen, Blades of Gunhilder. And they say the size of the content is too large to be played alongside other content in patch 5.2, so it will be implemented in patch 5.25. You have anything to say about that, Ami?
No.
No, you don't. Well, I do. This smells like some grade A.
That's horse mess.
Horse mess to me.
I'll let you talk. I'll be right back.
Okay. If you have content that is ready, you go ahead and release that. The player base will decide if they have the time to play it alongside other content. I know there are plenty of people that were burned through the MSQ on the first day. People want to get that first dungeon open to unlock the new expert roulette, because that's the easiest way to cap the new tomes. And let's be really, really conservative and say it takes them a whole day to do the entire MSQ. Then the next day, they spend the whole day getting the new Eden raid done. Day 3, they spend the whole day getting the new primal done. And then maybe, still being really conservative, days 4 and 5 are dedicated to beating that extreme primal. And at this point, there are going to be a whole lot of people that don't want a savage raid, don't want to craft or gather, don't want to do Restoration of Ishgard that isn't coming until 5.21 anyway. They would absolutely love to have the option to do a new relic. Alright, so Firefly Pendant says, nah, there's so much at launch. Laugh my ass off. I don't mind waiting. I wish Savage was pushed back 2 weeks like the past. So we got Firefly agrees with what they're saying. I disagree. I think there is going to be lots of people wishing that they had this relic to do, especially if you're not doing Savage. Why do you, I mean, those people won't even care that it isn't delayed 2 weeks. And let me be clear, I'm not mad that it's not coming until patch 5.25. I'm annoyed at their excuse that it's too large to be played alongside other content. Because, come on, release it and we'll be the judge of that. Wouldn't you rather have people saying, oh my god, there's so much to do, how will I choose what to do first? Instead, you'll get people going, okay, I'm done, what's next? I would much rather have the problem of there being way too much content than not enough content. And 5.2 won't be until like a month and a half after. So it's not going to take the majority of people a month and a half to get through the content that they're adding in 5.2 and 5.21. I mean, the leaderboard for Restoration of Ishgard is only going to be 10 days.
We have Chuckletopia on deck, Bubba, if you want to talk to him.
All right. Chuckletopia calling in tonight. Did I hit a string, Chuckletopia? What did you want to talk about?
The whole content block. It almost feels like what they're doing is just trying to keep players engaged like over a longer period of time, and just trying to like put a fish hook out there for people instead of, as you said, just release everything. Some people like some content, some people don't.
I do agree with that, because in the past, Yoshida has said, oh, this is the type of game where you can do what you want and then unsubscribe for a while and then come back. And then I feel like maybe corporate got in his ear and be like, hey, that isn't a great policy to tell people to just unsubscribe for the game for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe you should release your content in a fashion where they have to stay subscribed.
They want that monthly sub.
Right, but even at that point, like what the 5.25 is what, like 2 weeks later?
No, 5.21 I think is going to be 3
Oh,
weeks
okay.
later. 5.25 is going to be like a month and a half later.
Oh yeah, that's like a string. That's like stringing it along at that point.
Exactly.
They're either stringing it along or they just haven't gotten the content done. And if you haven't gotten the content done, then just come out and say you haven't. But if you're saying you've got the content done, just dangling it out there is just kind of like, why?
But haven't the relics always been just drawn out content?
Exactly. Like, have you made it so easy, like you've made the restoration of Ishgard, where people are going to be able to get it done really quick? Like, that's just bad design if you did do it that way. Like, I think it has to be that they really aren't done with it.
Right, the restoration of Ishgard, that kind of like fell flat for me because it's like everything was done by the time I even wanted to get to that content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to release something like that, have that kind of content, like have roadblocks in it itself. Like, okay, these people got this part done at this point. Okay, wait 2 or 3 weeks before they could start the next thing, kind of, or I don't know, something so that it like everything doesn't like get completely done within the first week, and then everybody's just like, okay, we're just going to use this for leveling our crafters now.
Yeah, and like I said, the majority of people are going to be done with this content that's being released in 5.2. That they are going to want some long-term content, like upgrading a relic weapon sooner than later. And they're
right. And when it comes to Savage, we beat once you beat all 4 of them, it's locked weekly, so there's no point in doing it. Like everybody will get done with it on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Now what are they going to do for the other 6 nights of the week?
Right, just farm tomes. Why?
yeah. If,
Like,
you, if you have Savage gear,
yeah.
you don't really need tomes that much.
Exactly, but I'm like the tomes are to gear other jobs
Yeah,
or
that's
level
what
or
I'm
whatever.
saying.
Like why?
Yeah, but even those are capped too. So once you get up to 450,
I agree.
Yeah, that's why I think like if they had it ready to go, they definitely should release it. I'm not buying their excuse of it's too much content to release alongside everything else in 5.2.
I actually take a different approach to a lot of the content that I play in the game. I haven't even done all of the Hildebrand. I've only done a Realm Reborn Hildebrand. I eventually will get over to the other stuff. I haven't done Hades Expert yet. That's something that I plan to do eventually. I don't tackle every single thing within the first couple of weeks. I do what I feel like doing, and then I'll go back to crafting, and I'll do that for a week or two, and then I'll go back over and I'll dip into another piece of new content, trying to keep it fresh for myself. I don't need to tell them to. I don't need them to keep it fresh for me.
I understand that. I do things on my own timeline to keep myself from getting overwhelmed because, like I said, I was going for my degree, a couple months ago, so I didn't do any of the extreme fights because I didn't have the energy to put. I didn't want my game time to be stressful. That makes sense. Not that it's like super stressful to do that content, but it's like I just wanted to relax and chill in my game time. But I also don't enjoy crafting and gathering. So when you want to play chill game time and you don't enjoy crafting and gathering, it does limit the things you can do.
Yeah, and I think you were out of the room coughing a lung up when I was talking about this. It's like, for those who aren't into the crafting and gathering this patch, they're going to be done with 5.2 fairly quickly. They say the MSQ is going to take longer than normal.
Everyone's
but still,
so hyped. I'm not hyped at all.
But still, you're going to be...
I'm excited for more MSQ, and that's about it.
And even though they say it's longer, chances are you're going to be done with that fairly quickly.
What, Chuck?
I took Tuesday off of work specifically so that I have the time to get MSQ done. We can start working on Savage. And yeah, we're not going to get done with like all 4 bosses.
No.
And like, in the first week. I'm expecting it to take, a significant amount of time, but that's only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's like other days of the week where I'm going to want content to fill that time up. Definitely, because this game is one of the things that's helping me keep not, go out and drink.
Mm-hmm.
So I spend
that.
a lot of time in this game.
Yep. I understand that.
And especially since what they've told us of the Relic Weapons so far, it's like I'm actually looking forward to it because it's going to be not like Eureka where you have to do everything inside Eureka. Apparently there's going to be a place or there's going to be the ability to get it done outside of whatever's the zone they have set up for it. They did say something that I don't know if I wrote this down. They said they're trying to get away from the Baldesion Arsenal content. And I think they misinterpreted what people didn't like about Eureka. It's like they didn't like everything leading up to Baldesion Arsenal. Like, people actually really liked Baldesion Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
They liked that part of the whole series. They didn't like the grindy boringness of everything leading up to that.
Well, Eureka was essentially Final Fantasy 11, and they basically took older MMO styles and shoved us back into that for the nostalgia of people who did it, and that's super dated content. So I get the nostalgia
I'm kind
element.
of upset
Uh-huh.
with them getting rid of Eureka because excuse me, a lot of people like say that, you know, Eureka's like bad, fell flat or whatever, but I haven't experienced it yet. That's one of those nuggets that I kind of put aside.
They're not getting rid
so
of
that I
Eureka.
can-
You're still able to do Eureka.
Like Eureka as how it is, how it has been.
Yes, you are still able to do that.
Okay, I thought that they were just completely transforming it over into that whole gathering.
No. So
That's
I think
Diadem.
you're thinking of the Diadem.
You lost Diadem. You missed out on
Yes,
Diadem.
that's okay.
You did not
That's
miss out
what I'm
on.
talking about.
You
I
know
don't
what?
like losing nuggets of the game
If
whatsoever.
if
I
you
hate it
tried to do Diadem in its current state, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, believe me,
really?
you're not
Yeah,
missing much with
no.
Diadem.
It's dead content at this point.
It had nothing to do with the
Okay.
relic,
Mhm.
or I guess technically there used to be gathered items that you would need for your relic, but they even did away with that part even before this.
Yeah. No, that was
okay.
Diadem was fun for the 5 minutes when it was new, and then when everybody got all the things they wanted from it, it died. So if you actually,
so it required a high population, but then
yeah,
they didn't give it the longevity in order to keep the player base there.
no, they tried, and this is the third attempt, and they're just like, I think this is the last ditch attempt to try to save the effort that went into Diadem.
And I totally think it's not going to work because I think the lesson they took from that was the only people that started going into Diadem were the gatherers
Yeah.
because they wanted the loot from that.
There's
they're
decent
like,
loot.
oh my god, gatherers love this. No, they didn't love it. It was just stuff that they wanted from there.
It was still okay for gatherers. You could still make decent gil off of the items you gathered there.
That's like thinking people love your PvP because they do it to get the new mount. They're not doing it because they love fucking PvP. They're doing it for the mount.
Yeah.
So stop coming up with a new
speaking
fucking...
of PvP, one thing that I would love for them to create is something. I don't know if either of one of you played WoW, but
did.
in WoW back in Kata, there was something called Tolbarad,
Mm-hmm.
and your faction would go against another faction, and whoever won in that like 2-hour period would own that area for a certain amount of time, and there was stuff to do there. I think it would be pretty cool if you can pit the 3 free companies again, or the 3 grand companies together, fight over a territory. Whoever wins gets to go ahead and, like, you know, do special something there.
You're describing the
Chuckletopia,
PvP that
did you just start listening to the podcast?
it's Pete's dream, and honestly, that was my favorite PvP in WoW. So I agree
That
with
was
you.
my favorite PvP.
It was
in
the
WoW.
best
oh my
PvP
God,
in
it was
WoW.
awesome.
It was
I have been
wonderful.
talking about wanting some persistent PvP, something that affects the outer world since before we even started a podcast. That's what I wrote into LBR about.
That's why we started a podcast, is because Pete's passion about the lack of PvP affecting the real world.
Right on.
Yeah, that's his thing.
Well, I'm sorry to go ahead and like bring you guys onto all these tangents and
You're-
whatnot, but
you
I'm
are
going to go
fun,
ahead and
Chuck.
let you guys continue on.
Aw, you're a sweetheart.
Well, thank you so much, Chucklepopia. Chuckletopia.
Nope, that's your new name, Chuck. I'm so
All right,
sorry.
now you're Chucklepopia. I'm sorry.
Nice.
You got a Pete.
It's all good.
It's a what do we
Petism?
a Petism, because yeah, when Pete messes up people's names, you get a nickname out of it. It's a Petism. You're the Pope.
You have
Oh,
now
awesome.
joined
Chucklepopia.
Cater Pants and Pisky Games.
I'm gonna call you Popey.
Nice.
Chucklepopia.
I'll take it. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Popia.
Oh, and Avi, feel better.
Thank you. All right, Pete. I know we have like 9 pages of outline, but I have to tell you,
All
sweetheart.
right, this last part's gonna go quick.
I was gonna say I love you. I can't do this whole outline. I'm crashing really hard.
It'll be done really quick. I'm gonna go quick,
It sounds like
just
our
like
sex
sex. I'm
life.
gonna go quick. Damn, you had that joke the same time I
I
did.
did.
Well, I think I think it was mentioned in chat from Yeko actually about New Game Plus. And I guess if you were to ask, like, what should you do in game if you've completed all the content and, you know, the Relic isn't coming out until 5.25, you can go through stuff you've already done before with New Game Plus.
The one thing I think is really cool is, and we had been asking for, is the ability to redo Hildebrand quests. And that's the biggest thing.
This latest update has actually gotten me interested.
Mm-hmm.
Before, it's like, I really don't mind like replaying on a different character,
Right.
even if I can't go back to a specific spot. I have to start at the beginning. But with this, let me get through what they're adding first. They're adding the Binding Coil of Bahamut, Alexander, Omega, Crystal Tower, the Shadow of Mach, Return to Evilise, Warring Triad, the Four Lords, Hildebrand, Agent of Inquiry, Further Hildebrand Adventures, Even Further Hildebrand Adventures, Tales from the Dragon Song War, and Saint Endelim's Scholasticate.
Which no one did anyway.
Yeah. First of all, I definitely want a call from anyone who is going to go back and do Saint Endelim's Scholasticate, because I have some questions for you.
I couldn't even finish that thing. I couldn't finish it.
Like, how much do you hate yourself that you want to do that quest again? I really got some questions for you.
But so I'm the kind of person, and I guess you can tell by the podcast most likely, that I tend to get really into a story and then I kind of data dump and I move on to the next story. I'm not very good at like holding on to all those details.
Take a dump?
No, I data dump, and I just but what the wonderful thing about this is I can revisit that book or that story and I can like relive it again. And so the Hildebrand stories for me are something that I would love to go back and relive again, because I know I'll remember elements of them, but that was a thing for me. So like the Shadowbringers bit of Hildebrand, or like whatever the last bit of Hildebrand we got was
Stormblood.
Stormblood. I don't think we got any Shadowbringers. So the Stormblood, that was the first time I streamed Hildebrand, and I'm a very expressive and emotional person, and I think streaming Hildebrand was some of the most fun streaming I'd ever had, because I just genuinely laughed and had so much fun. And the reason I bring up the fact that I data dump and I forget stuff is because I think that would be really fun content to stream again and to like experience with people, because I know that, honestly, you guys, when a book series I'm reading, I love, the next book comes out, I have to reread all of the previous books because my brain just goes and I focus on the thing I'm on right now. I don't know why, it's how I am. But so I don't know. I'm really excited to go back and redo the Hildebrand. Part of me like wants to wait until all of Hildebrand is available, and I want to go back to the very, very beginning.
This is all of Hildebrand.
Is it all of Hildebrand?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, Agent of Inquiry, that's the first one. I would love to just do a stream of just that. Like, that sounds so fun to me, because it's not even just experiencing the story, but it's like experiencing the story with other people. And I think that just sounds so cool. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I'm so tired.
Well, this really adds to like what you can do with someone that you just brought into the game too, because you've been replaying Final Fantasy XIV with Hyper Pixie on occasion, and she had to do the MSQ skip of A Realm Reborn because that's not in New Game Plus yet, because they're condensing it, which I think is a good call. You don't want to put all this effort in if you're changing it.
And she, again, as you guys know, if you listen, she came from ESO, and the wall blocks for A Realm Reborn was off-putting for her.
But currently you've only been able to do MSQ with her.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, oh yeah, now you can unlock Hildebrand, and I can go through it with you too.
Yeah,
I don't just have to
fun.
like sit there watching your cutscenes on stream.
Me awkwardly standing on the side.
I can actually do it with you. So
it would be fun. And she and I are stupid.
I think this is a really good addition to the game.
It'll be nice if it allows us to like have our story plus that we're going through with the main story, and then create like a second one, because you can have more than one, right? You can have two, or is it only one?
I actually like. I'm excited for this. I have not stepped foot into New Game Plus.
I think it's only one. Yeah, it's only one. So we can't actually stop the one we're doing right now to start this. We have to like continue with where we're at. But where we're at, I think we could go into the Hildebrand and then get back to the main scenario. I don't think it excludes that.
And for you, it doesn't really matter, because you can quit and then like start at whatever she's at.
Well, I'd have to catch back. Yeah, to figure out how all that works.
Like, you have to complete that quest line. You'd
Yeah.
have to complete all
Catch
of the
up to her.
beginning Hildebrand, so
Yeah.
you'd have to do it kind of all at once.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
you know, whatever. I think it's a really big step in the right direction for New Game Plus in Final Fantasy XIV. The only thing that they could make it better, Avi, is if they were to add voice acting
Oh yeah.
to all those old quests.
I feel like
Because how
my God,
awesome would
no,
it be
I just
if you
saw-
added Nathan Fillion to Hildebrand?
That's whose voice I heard the entire time. Like, oh my God, like Nathan Fillion is Hildebrand in my heart. I love you that you knew this. Like, oh, you guys, I'm kind of getting a voice back. It comes and goes. Yeah, Nathan Fillion is Hildebrand. They can never get him, but oh my God, that would be, oh, you just made my heart happy.
I would love if they added voice acting to more quests. Because not even all of the MSQ has voice acting. Like, first start off with that. Add it to all of the MSQ.
Right.
And then, come on. Get the budget.
Yeah.
I'm sure Final Fantasy XIV is printing money for Square Enix. So give them a bigger fucking budget.
Everyone
get
wants
some voice
Castiel
acting in
Eorzea
this
to come
bitch.
back. He did do Destiny, actually. He does do video games, and I believe, wasn't he Halo as well? He was one of the Master Chiefs. if
I
remember.
feel like they got a lot of cameos in Halo.
Yeah,
So it wouldn't surprise me.
I think Nathan Fillion did quite a bit. I love him.
All right. Obviously, let's move on to
I
the
am,
next.
guys. My voice is coming in stronger, but like I am so tired.
Moving on to the next picture. Every once in a while, Avi, there's a part of the patch notes that really takes you by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the announcement of umbrellas. There was a new note in the preliminary patch notes that hit me in the same way as umbrellas. And that was Angler Prince.
So you're fake excited?
Prince, Prints. I know I don't enunciate well. Not Prince, Prince. Prince.
I like Prince though.
It's something that you
Purple
never
rain.
thought you needed,
Purple
never
rain.
thought you wanted, but Square Enix has decided to give to you and us anyways. And I know you're thinking, Pete, I know the word angler, it's a fisherman. But angler print? What the fuck is that? Well, you know how they added paintings based off the sightseeing logs? They've gone ahead and decided to do that with the fish you've caught.
Honestly, though, the sightseeing logs brought some wonderful paintings. Like, that was the easiest way for them to give us some good paintings. I don't know how many fish prints we need. I think, like...
I believe the correct answer is 0.
well, I think, like, 4. Like, it's...
There's 4 different sizes.
Oh. Well, I think, like, I get the aesthetic of it. Like, I think the aesthetic of it is cool. But
And by the aesthetic, you mean the style of the artwork.
yeah. But
So,
I
yeah,
don't
it
think
is
we
like-
need, like, one for every fish. Like, that's a lot.
It is like an old school, like before you could take pictures of stuff. It's like an old textbook where they had to sketch
It's
like the body in there.
like
They're
a lithograph.
sketching the outline of the fish.
like a lithograph, yes.
I don't know what a lithograph is.
Okay. I love you. You had the Nathan Fillion thing. We're good there. I still let you live on that.
So yeah, it's like an old school botanist. They would go out into the world, pick a leaf, and draw that leaf. And that's what your textbook would be about. In Avi's time when she was going to school.
The one leaf.
No, like before they had pictures and photographs.
I know the book would be about one leaf.
Yes, one leaf, Avi.
That's what you just said.
Okay. I'm trying to make an old joke here.
I know. I'm used to them. I'm very tired. So how about that old joke?
All right, Avi. Let's get to some miscellaneous patch notes.
You guys, he's like, we're gonna skip ahead to the next section.
Hey, I skipped one section. I skipped crafting and gathering.
We are at an hour and a half. Bubba, I think we can skip to the community roundup
No, we're going.
and do the rest later. Please, sweetie, please.
You don't even want to go through the pictures we have?
No, we can do them next week.
Those were your pictures.
I'm so tired. I don't feel good.
All right, we got a head start for next week apparently.
Yes. So tired.
We're going to get to community roundup, partner. This week's community roundup is just in time for those last minute, what do I do for Valentiners, Tiners, or if you just want to cook up something special for yourself. We're talking about a recipe reborn on YouTube. This channel is run by Lemon Drop, who develops recipes by combining real-life culinary inspiration with the in-game recipe thumbnail, description, geography, and lore. If you're into Final Fantasy XIV food, then you should check her out. Most recently, are you sure it's a she?
Mm-hmm.
Did you check?
There's a picture of her on the video beforehand.
Most recently, she posted a wonderful recipe for chocolate fondue. Avi personally loves how she displays an image of the in-game food item and then her recreation. It really shows the level of effort and passion she's putting into this project. Oh, and her dog's name is Kupo. Too cute. I'm sure Avi would love to somehow long-distance work on a recipe with her.
Mm-hmm.
And that note, that sound you heard was Krev LM hosting us for 13 viewers. Thank you so much, Krev, and everyone from the Krev crew.
Hi.
We are doing the She Heals I Tank podcast, episode 205. We're talking about patch notes for 5.2. We're at the community roundup right now. We're talking about Lemon Drop and Recipe Reborn on YouTube.
She's wonderful, you guys. I think I have no voice. I probably watched like half a dozen of her videos today. I remember when she first started, but it feels like she's like her website and her stylizing of everything has just really, really improved. And you should definitely check it out. Her, yes, fondue is easy to make, but she shows you how to make marshmallows to dip into it.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
Apparently, that's the new following. I just picked a random following sound to be played when people follow us.
Was that you?
We got a follow, and
Is
I
that
forgot
you?
I had to. No, that was not my voice.
It sounded like your voice.
Apparently, that's our new follow sound.
I want to hear that again. It sounded like Pete. Everyone's saying it sounded like Pete. Oh my god. It sounded just like you. Okay. What the fuck?
I'm going to go ahead and pretend like that was my O sound. Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. That was insane.
I didn't even listen to that thing. Like, I meant to turn it back on for when I was streaming outside of the podcast, and I forgot to turn it off again.
Somebody clip it if it's not too
But
late, because
that's
people are asking what they
now,
missed.
baby.
Oh, it was like a sultry Pete, but not Pete. Oh man, that was special.
Oh, so yeah, you can find Lemon Drop and a Recipe Reborn on YouTube as the Recipe Reborn. Links will be in the show notes. And we'll link to their YouTube channel and everything. It's delicious.
They're really
Now
cute.
let's get to some listener reaction from Scod Matrix. They said, well, I know what I'm going to be listening to while I'm doing my dailies. And that's really the best time to consume your shit podcast is during your dailies. Mocha Jones says, thanks to She Heals I Tank for the shout out on the podcast. And thanks to Chili and husband Derek for the extra life for kids donations to make me restart Chrono Trigger to rename characters while on stream. Just saying, Avi is now a princess.
I've always been a princess.
You are now a princess, Avi.
And so I know we just got a raid from Krav and all our wonderful listeners, but we are ending our podcast.
Yeah, for everyone that just joined, we do a podcast every Friday for Final Fantasy XIV. I know I said do. On Fridays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Avi's voice, as you might have been able to hear just now, is on the outro.
I'm still going to do it.
You didn't start with much voice. You didn't end with much voice.
I'm going to do the outro.
But I am impressed.
Oh, Chili got the thing. He got the oh yeah clip.
I am impressed with how well you've been able to hold up. And then I was disappointed that you faded. I was impressed, and then I was disappointed.
I don't care.
Just so you know. Giving you feedback. Real
I
time.
missed 2 days of work this week. So, that is going to be it for this episode. As always, we've enjoyed hanging out with all of you live here on Twitch. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Be sure to hit that follow button so you can hear that creepy Pete, oh yeah, that he says is not him. Because that was amazing.
Sub by Chuckletopia saying Avi is a champion.
And then if you do follow us, you'll know the next time we will be going live. And I want to say a great big thank you to everyone listening to the podcast through iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, and the app that comes out tomorrow that makes me feel really, really old because I don't know about it yet. You really are the reason we keep making episodes.
Tickle Talk.
And I'm very sorry for not having a voice again. And I appreciate you for listening to Pete talk so much because I know how exhausting he can be.
Apparently I have a sultry voice.
I love you. And remember, wherever you do listen, it would mean a shit ton to us if you gave our little shit podcast a rating or a review. Or more importantly, tell a friend to check us out. Here with Vegan Pete, I am Avi Ale, and we will talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.